What is learned helplessness? I was very curious, that's why I've made this video. Learned helplessness is what social scientists call it when a person is unable to find resolutions to difficult situations, even when solution is accessible. Hi, my name is Jyotika Bedi. I'm the founder of Happiness is Love. We make relationships better. People that struggle with learned helplessness tend to complain a lot. They feel overwhelmed quite easily and incapable of making any positive difference in their own circumstances. If you're going through this, you are not alone. People that experience repeated abuse and other aversive situations eventually learn to become helpless if nothing they do changes anything. It's as if they internalize that since nothing worked in that situation, nothing will work in similar situations either. The trauma begins to erode two other critical aspects of our mental well-being: self-efficacy and internal locus of control. I work with many clients who suffer this. Self-efficacy is your level of confidence that you can tackle challenges and learn new skills. Internal locus of control is the degree to which you believe that your circumstances are really under your own control. When these two traits are high, you feel self-confident, you have high self-esteem, you feel empowered even when things are tough. Stressors seem controllable and you know that you can trust yourself to do your best, and doing your best is good enough. When learned helplessness takes over though, you don't feel so sure of your own ability to handle life's stressors and challenges. You don't believe that what you do really makes a difference, and that makes it very hard to see a way out when you're stuck, let alone a silver lining. It's possible to have learned helplessness in some areas of your life, but not in others. Let me clarify. For example, a person could be doing well at work, but have a hard time in setting healthy boundaries with their parents. They find it difficult to say no to their parents. However, since life doesn't fit well in boxes, we all know that, each area eventually begins to influence the other. I've curated for you 5 symptoms of learned helplessness. Dealing with adversity can be tough, we all know that. And not everyone feels like they're always on top of their game, nor do I. That's very, very common and normal. However, learned helplessness runs much deeper than that. Here are some symptoms that learned helplessness is taking control over you. Let's begin with low self-esteem. With learned helplessness, people feel bad about themselves and doubt their ability to accomplish even the simplest or the smallest of all tasks. Frustration begins because they feel like everything is outside of their control. People dealing with learned helplessness have very, very, very low frustration tolerance. They get easily overwhelmed or flustered when working on projects or dealing with people. Next, passivity. Having an attitude of bad things just happen to me all the time saps away all desire to try to change things, to try to take action to change things, because not the time you don't take action, change doesn't happen. People with this outlook put too much effort into just trying to avoid difficulty or improve their odds of success. Is this you sometimes or someone you know? Lack of effort. Learned helplessness can lead to procrastination and decision avoidance. People often want to try to complete projects or tasks, assuming that nothing or nothing good will happen if they try. So they just give up. They don't even put in the effort. Giving up. Even when they do start working, let's say on something, they quickly give up very, very soon. Learned helplessness causes trouble even with follow-through and can make even the smallest bumps in the road seem intolerable. While it's not a standalone problem, learned helplessness can feature in or excavate other mental health conditions as well. It has been commonly linked to chronic anxiety, sometimes depression, phobias, and loneliness. Several symptoms of learned helplessness, such as low motivation, feeling a lack of control, very low self-esteem, overlaps, like I shared, with depression and anxiety as well. Attribution and explanation plays a fundamental role in why learned helplessness impacts some people and not others. Put it in its simplest terms, our attribution and explanation styles are how we really interpret and explain to ourselves what happens to us and the behavior of others. A pessimistic explanatory style can diminish their own ability to respond positively and proactively to negative circumstances. Let me give you an example. If someone's feeling nervous while preparing for an important exam, let's say, they may adopt one of the following viewpoints. Helpful viewpoint would be, this test is hard, so I'll make a study plan, a study schedule, and ask others for help and support. An unhelpful explanation would be, this test is really hard, so I'll anyways probably fail it no matter what I do. If they get a negative result, they might respond in one of the two ways. And let me first tell you the helpful way and then the unhelpful way. The material was challenging, but now I know what to expect and how to study. I have cracked that code. An unhelpful interpretation would look like, I knew I wasn't going to pass from the word go, and now I just feel so stupid and dumb. This was such a waste of my time and energy. There's just no point in taking this test again. Can you see the difference? With helpful thoughts, the person is in a better position to take positive action. They're able to look back critically and learn from what happened, which then aids in problem solving rather than feeling stuck and overwhelmed and giving up. Negative thought patterns, however, have a sneaky way of leaving us feeling hopeless and helpless. This is true for you and for me and for everyone. When everything is out of our control or someone else's fault, there's not much point in learning and trying again, isn't it? People with depression and anxiety tend to have distorted negative thinking. It's one of the reasons cognitive behavioral therapy, also popularly known as CBT, is so effective for mood disorders. Distorted thought patterns make it more likely that a person will attribute negative outcomes to themselves or something outside of their own control. And as you can imagine, this is pretty disastrous for anyone's self-esteem. Overparenting and learned helplessness, there is a link. In some cases, overparenting, let's say helicopter parents, can lead to learned helplessness even in adulthood. Children who become overly dependent on their parents may develop a fear that they will fail without support. As painful as it can be to watch children, and I have 3 children, so I can tell you with confidence, need to go through the routine failures. They need to fall and fail for growing up. That really teaches them self-confidence, problem-solving ability with disappointment sometimes, and builds more resilience. It's worth mentioning that neglect and trauma in childhood is also at a risk factor for learned helplessness. The famous psychologist Erikson famously outlined trust and mistrust as critical foundation stage for a child's healthy development. Children who come from abusive backgrounds risk internalizing the world as inherently untrustworthy. If they feel that the people around them just can't be trusted to care for them, they may grow up thinking that bad things will always happen to them, no matter how good they are, no matter how good their intentions or actions are. Ideally, parents can provide support as children learn to navigate the world on their own. I have a 20-year-old and I have twin daughters who are teen right now. Even though the child sometimes experiences failures, the parents' job is to reinforce strategies, help them learn, and boost their self-esteem as they grow. And this is what I try with my children. So what is an adult entitled dependence? Adults who are unable to be independent and self-sufficient, and I see that a lot with my clients, are often struggling with some variation of learned helplessness. The reason for this aren't always very clear. It may be that the parents were unintentionally overeager to help, and as a result, the adult child is completely dependent on them. You want to give your children a gift? Let them do things on their own, with your guidance. In some cases, the opposite may be true. A child that was neglected may rationalize that their trauma is really holding them back from independence and success in adulthood. Researchers have coined the term adult entitled dependence, AED, to describe adult children, and I see many on a daily basis, who are really uninterested in pursuing higher education or careers. What are the consequences of learned helplessness? Learned helplessness is worth addressing, as left unchecked, it can have drastic consequences in our daily lives. Here are some potential outcomes of learned helplessness that I'd like to share with you. Low self-esteem, adult entitled dependence, mental health disorders like anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, trouble managing and changing behaviors including addictions and substance abuse, inability to obtain a desired outcome like changing careers or leaving a relationship suddenly, difficulty in following through, dissatisfaction in life, and just general hopelessness. Overcoming learned helplessness. In a course in positive psychology at the University of Pennsylvania, the world famous Martin Seligman shares a little known anecdote from the original learned helplessness experiments. He's the father of positive psychology. While a certain percentage of people predictably became helpless in the face of uncontrollable events, some people, about 10%, seemed immune to this effect. These people, Seligman calls, couldn't be made helpless no matter what. We can learn a lot from these resilient people. What is it about this no matter what attitude that makes some people immune to learned helplessness? Wouldn't you like to learn? I was very keen, and that's why I'm making this video, to share with you so that together we can learn and grow. Seligman's partner, Steve Mayer, found evidence that dogs weren't actually learning helplessness. They were falling to learn control. As the neuroscience indicates, our brains are wired to panic under pressure. Hello, the fight or flight response. However, Mayer discovered that there is a part of the brain that jumps into regulating this response when it assesses that the situation is under control. With learned helplessness, that controllability mechanism never kicks in. You don't perceive that you're in control, that you're in charge. And so paradoxically, you're less able to assert control. Seligman also identified another key component of the equation called learned optimism. It's essentially the polar opposite of learned helplessness, where you internalize a sense of hopelessness about your own abilities and circumstances. With learned optimism, you begin to challenge your own thought process. And as a result, you change your behaviors and actions and outcomes. Cognitive behavior therapy, which I love, is another excellent way to work through our distorted thinking. I use this personally too. Working with a clinician, patients Learn how to identify problematic, unhealthy, unpleasant thoughts which are not serving them and take them to trial. By challenging these core thoughts and beliefs, people can become more optimistic. They can better able to create solutions and better able to manage their stress. It is a skill which you can learn. People also find that working with a mentor, working with a coach helps them challenge those unhelpful thought patterns. Coaches like myself are skilled at asking questions that are at the heart of where these thoughts are really stemming from. With the tools and strategies we give you and the practice, you can recognize and start interrupting these thoughts, redirecting and replacing them with new healthy ones. Finally, you can start to build your evidence for the best possible outcome. Self-efficacy is cultivated by building 4 main pillars: positive thoughts, vicarious exposure, affirmations, and mastery experiences. You can build mastery in anything. Choose something that interests you and get good at it. As you start to build your confidence, for example, in kickboxing, in blogging, in videography, in baking, or even maybe a new video game, the effects will ripple into every area of your life. When I started Happiness is Love, I was initially very nervous, very scared. I didn't know how to take action, and then what did I do? I really started step by step, little by little, started small but started. And today I can make videos with confidence because I love to share, I love to learn, and I believe that together, when we build ourselves, we build each other, we build a better future for our coming generation. The responsibility is yours and mine, and together we are strongest, together we are better. Out of all the strategies I have shared with you, please comment below which tool you will use from this moment on. Maybe you can help a friend, a family member who is feeling helpless and hopeless, and you can show them this video. Until then, stay tuned for more. Keep smiling, keep shining, and keep growing.